part is a pre-production stage where we produce, where we begin to prepare ourselves for what we want to produce. We begin to look at who we want to bring on the set. We look at who is going to be the actor of that movie, and get in place every crew member. Now, when you get your crew members, that is when you begin to look at the next one, which is the production of this movie properly. Now, when you produce a movie, when you start producing, it means you are putting together everything that is necessary to be put in place. Now, away from that movie production, we now take you to the post-production where we begin to edit. The editing part of this movie it entails a lot of things. Now, the next thing we look at now, we said, is a post-production. The post-production entails putting together all the images that we have. Now, when we look at that, we also means that we're putting together every material. We've been able to gather the images, the sound, the visual effect. We are putting everything together to produce. We've started editing this movie. Now, where it begins to make sense is at the second stage, which is the distribution stage. Hello, can you hear me?
We can hear you. We can hear you. Continue.
All right. The distribution stage is all right. I'm on now. Now, the completed movie is distributed through the various, either you're marketing it or you're bringing it on cinemas or bringing it on big screen. These are the various stages that has to do with filmmaking. Now, the next part is when you begin to look at the various key people who are involved in filmmaking. The development stage of the movie, like I've said, it entails a lot of things. Now, I can't go into details of all of that because of our time. We already talked about it last week. So we're going to look at the various areas of the various filmmaking roles, the positions that are available for various people. Now, the first part is we have the storyboard artist. What does he do? He creates visual images to help the director and the production designer communicate their ideas to production team. Now, the storyboard artist, that is what he does. These are the first people that come on board before a movie is even produced. They create visual images of how we're going to look at, and they bring a lot of ideas into play to help the director, which is the next person that we're going to be looking at. The director now, is his primary responsibility is for storytelling, creative decisions, and also acting of the film. Now, when he's acting, the director gets all of that, he begins to act, he begins to bring the people who he needs in play. Away from that now, the next person that makes things happen is the assistant director. The assistant director, he manages the shooting schedule. Don't forget that it's a movie, so it involves a lot of people and also involves a lot of logistics, moving from one place to another. So the assistant director is the one who, bring all of these things in play. Sometimes his role is too cumbersome that he has to bring in more people because it's not easy for him to move from one location to another location to another location. So the assistant director help the director, to bring help him in terms of looking for the place where these movies will be shot, and also moving of crew members, moving of equipment from one place to another. This is a role of the next guy, which is the assistant director of the movie. Now, the next role, which we're going to be looking at, which is available in film production, is the film producer himself. He's the one that hires, the film crews. The film crews now involves those who are going to be acting, those who are going to be handling the cameras, those who are going to be handling the equipment, those who in audiography. These are all the guys who are involved in the filmmaking. So just goes beyond what we watch on TV screen. These are the things, the people that make movie a reality. Now, the next guy whose role we're going to be looking at is a unit production manager. He manages the production budget and also production schedule. They also report on behalf of the production office to the studio executive or financiers of this film. Now, their role is to manage the budget, to check what kind of movie are we going to produce. Are we going to produce a low budget movie, or are we going to produce a high budget movie? He comes in play and also ensures that every movie or the material which they want to use is on point with the budget they have, so that they don't overspend. Don't forget that every movie that is being produced that you see on screen sometimes is made possible by financiers and sometimes made possible by those who are sponsoring. Are sponsoring this movie. So if they have a budget of 1 million, the unit production manager is a production above that budget. If we do that, it means that's why sometimes we have movies that are, rushed in production. Why? Because they're trying to manage their resources and make sure that they work based on their budget. Now, when we have put all of that in place, the location manager helps us to look at the next thing. He also helps us to find the location of help us to find the location and manages a film. Nearly all picture feature segments that are shot in controllable environment of a studio sound stage, while outdoor sequence call for filming or location. Don't forget that if you are producing a movie in a particular location, sometimes we create these locations. Sometimes they are locations that are manufactured by the producers or by the storyteller, and it also depends on the story itself, the movie you are acting. If you are going to be acting a movie in a local environment, you need to create that environment and give it a particular flavor that you need. I have watched movies like Figurine. I've watched movies like traditional movies, and I begin to see a touch of the location that the director wants, just to give it clarity and give the audience a sense of belonging, to let them know that this is the local story that we are really acting. That is the role of the location manager. He makes sure that the location is on point. Now, the production designer is also another guy's role that is very important in movie. Now, he is the one who creates the visual conception of the film. He works with the art director who manages the art department, which makes production sets. So when you look at all of that, it means that he tries his best to make sure that production design goes in line with what they are really looking for, what the location producer are talking about. His role as the production designer is to design the visual concept of the film, making sure that everything that the director wants, everything that the location manager has provided is actually in tandem with what this film is talking about. Sometimes you have a good story, a good movie that you want to produce, but if you don't have a good production manager to bring and give you the right thing, you end up mixing up the story. That is why sometimes when you look at a movie or when you watch a movie, you find out that the story, the message is hidden in the story. Why? Because all of these things are not put in place. So a lot of people tend to be distracted by the costumes, sometimes distracted by the scripting, sometimes they are also distracted by the location, or even the way the story is being managed. Some people don't even get to hear the message behind those stories. So these are some of the roles. Last time I told us about a cinematographer. Apart from his role as a cinematographer, he works with all of these people. The costume designer, he creates the clothing for the characters in the film, working closely with the actors. That is the costume designer. You cannot take a local movie and you're going to give them modern dressing. That is why the costume designer comes in place. So his role in movie production is to make sure that the clothes is in line with the story that you're telling. If you're telling a story that is related to action movie, or you're looking at a movie that is maybe a sword movie, cannot use gun in a sword movie. So the costume designer makes sure that the dresses matches the story. He makes sure that the clothing, the materials are really telling the story itself. I keep making a reference to Game of Thrones, movies like Game of Thrones, seasonal movies where you look at the costume itself. And I always say that sometimes the locally made movies, like traditional movies that has to do with moving from one location to another, are more expensive in production than our contemporary movies, modern movies, where you just move from one house to another house. These are the role of costume, because the costume itself is even makes the material even more expensive. Talk about the different clothing, the different attire that they will keep wearing from one movie to a movie that's going to last sometimes years. So the costume designer plays a significant role. He also works in line with the makeup and hair designers. These are people who make this movie look real. Now, if you are acting a movie and you are having a makeup that is not
Please be patient. Your lecturer will join you soon. It's due to network failure. 8,000. Hello, Mr. Fortune, please unmute yourself and start talking. Mr. Fortune, unmute yourself and continue your lecture. Mr. Fortune, unmute yourself and continue your lecture.
All right. Okay, breakage.
Before you continue, we
So
can
we're
hear you
talking
share.
about film production, and I made mention of.
Mr. Fortune, please, you have 4 minutes more. Give
Okay,
your
okay.
assignment.
Yes, I can hear you. I'm trying to go to the screen now. So, like I said, we'll be looking at
Mr. Fortune, give your assignment. You don't have time again. Please give your assignment. Mr. Fortune, if you can hear me, please give your assignment. Your time is up. Sorry, students. Your lecturer's time is up. I think he had issue with power or probably network. Please join us same time next week. We're so sorry for the break. Thank you.